Next we have Chan's Caddis Emerger. This is my favorite fly of all time. I've used it even in September, but usually in the spring. So for the trailing shuck, you can use white Antron if you have it. I don't. I'm just using some Arizona Semi-Seal and Starlight in a white color. And you just need a tiny amount for the shuck. When I first saw this fly in the store, I was like, is that even going to fish? But for some reason, I was drawn to it. This is when I first started fly fishing many, many years ago, kind of in the interior. And I was in the Trojan Pond tournament with a lot of people, including Brian Chan. And this was my kill fly for about, probably for about 5 or 6 years. And it's also the one I caught when I got largest fish one year. This is the fly I got it on. So just a little white trailing shuck on there. And now I'm just going to tie it down right to the back. Like so. Bring my thread forward, and now I can turn my hook in the vise. For the ribbing material, just a small piece of flat mirage tinsel. So, this fly can also be found as one of the flies in the Osprey fly box. I'm a member of the Osprey Fly Fishers of BC. I'll show you the quick book. You can buy it in most of the local fly stores in BC, but also on Amazon. It's a really good book. Lots of patterns in it with history of the patterns and stuff like that. Really good job by Sandy McKinley writing that book. So for the dubbing, I'm just using like a Caddis green dubbing. I'm actually using the Stillwater Solutions dubbing, but you can't buy any for it. It says Midge Stretch Faucet. It's got it shoved in this bag. You can't buy this kind anymore. From Phil and Brian that they created many years ago. But any kind of dubbing will do. I'm going to use a little bit of wax on my thread because it is a little bit, this dubbing can be a little bit too long. I'm just going to make sure it stays for a nice skinny body. My hands are dry this morning. If you ever have dry hands, just take a little tiny bit of wax on your fingers, rub them together, and gives it a little bit more grip. I'm just going to start my dubbing, winding it forward. Just a little bit at a time. Nothing too crazy. A little bit more. Yeah, this dubbing is kind of long. I should have cut it shorter. I'm just going to take these longer pieces off there. The Caddis green color from Hairline works really good too. That's one of my favorite dubbings that I use in my olive soft hackle. So I'm just going to take my scissors now, and because it is longer, and just clip off the longer pieces. Like so. And now you can just take your rib, wind it up the hook. Yeah, so anyways, as I was saying, I used this fly for many years just at Trojan Pond. I never used it anywhere else. And then a few years ago, I started using it in the lakes in June, July. And, it's just been a wicked fly. I've also used it in the Columbia River and little streams when the caddis are emerging. Works really good in the river as well. Snip off your rib there. So I did about maybe 4 or 5 ribs up the fly. Next, I'm just going to take some fine deer hair. I'm going to patch of deer hair here for the wing case. And I'm going to measure it back. I've got about a half of a pencil width piece. I'm just going to measure it back, probably to the back of the fly. It's going to come forward, so I don't want it too long. Just to stick out the head. And I'm going to cut it down. Of loose wraps and keep it right on top, and just tie it down. Make a little platform for my legs to sit on, like so. Just clean up this head area here. Now for the legs, I've got a piece of brown grizzly hackle from Whiting, very small. I'm just going to pull the fibers down at the base of the thread here and just snip on either side, leaving just a little bit of feather on either side just for my thread to grip onto, like so. And then I'm going to take my wax again, use my Cobbler's wax. Whenever I'm tying in a feather, I always wax my thread, both sides. And then I like to take a couple of wraps. Piece of dubbing on there. I'm just going to tie that feather down. Bring my thread forward. Now you can just start winding your feather. Probably take about 4. And this fly has just been excellent over the years. I use it in lakes and rivers. The Columbia River it's really good in as well as some small streams. I've tied it even smaller than this one. It isn't the easiest tied fly in the world, but it is well worth the effort. And I'm just going to snip that off. Cut this down. I'm just going to take and chop some just right at the top here where I'm going to bring my wing case over. Like so. I can fold it. Fold all your deer hair forward. And make a wrap over top. A couple wraps. Like so. I like to bring it in front. Make a few wraps. And then whip finish. I like to give it 2. And you can take most of the material, just fold it back, and then just these few front little pieces here, I'm just going to cut them down shorter. And that helps when you're threading your hook. Not all the way down, but just a little bit. Like so. And that's it. Oh, snip my thread off. That is Chan's Caddis Emerger. Like I said, my favorite fly of all time. Especially in June. Got a little piece of deer hair I'm just going to pull out of there. And there you have it. And that's it, my 6-pack recommended flies for spring. Thanks for joining me on this edition of On the Bench. Take care, everyone. Conserve the waters and tight lines.